people always see the success.
Yes.
Right? So we're in Puerto Rico in this beautiful convention center. You've done tremendously well for yourself. But where did it start? Where did it start from point A to getting here?
Yes. Well, it started with me scrapping in high school. Like, I used to have a lot of fights. I don't know why. But
shout out to Queens.
Yes, shout out to Queens.
It's a New York thing.
It's a New York thing. Listen, I'm feisty. And that's the thing. I would be the quiet one. Like, I'm quiet. I'm not coming for you. But if you come for me, we about to fight. And listen, I'm going to give you a run for your money. Like, I may not be able to say that, you know, I beat your ass. But I'm going to give you a run for your money. You ain't going to want to come back. I'll tell you that part. So that's where it started.
Write that down.
Write that down. But I think there's something to that, right? Like, even just being a fighter, all of the challenges, I'm very grateful for them now, because I think it helps you to be, like I was talking about earlier, relentless, you know? When you have, you know, issues with lights going out and, you know, I would go to the grocery store and have to pay with food stamps, and I would be like hiding in the aisles waiting for my friends and my neighbors to leave so that they wouldn't see me, you know, because I had so much shame around it. And, you know, wait for them to leave, be very strategic, and then sometimes you get caught and I just leave and walk home from the grocery store and cry. You know what I mean? Just being embarrassed. I think all of that helped me to be very focused and helped me to be relentless, like a dog with a bone, when I want to make something happen. So I'm very grateful for all of those experiences. And I'm also grateful because then I relate to a lot of people too, because a lot of people have that story. And everybody has a story of struggle of some kind. And that story of struggle we think is a disadvantage. It's actually an advantage, because entrepreneurship is not easy. Building wealth is not easy. Taking yourself from zero to a lot more is not an easy journey. So if you've had challenges already, great. You're equipped. You're ready. Mm-hmm. You have the right stuff in your toolbox to get you through the challenges of the journey.
Yeah, so this mindset, and I wonder when I listen to you speak sometimes, I'm wondering, that millionaire mindset, is that something that you're naturally born with, or is it something that's developed? And I wonder, because I remember, right, it's one of these things when I was younger, I used to write the stories, and I would say, Mom, I'm gonna buy you a mansion one day. And she kept the stories. She's like, well, Troy, where's my mansion?
Where that mansion at? Time to pay the piper.
Right? And so I wanted, I mean, obviously that was in my mind at that time when I was a young child, but I'm wondering, from your journey and being around your community, is that something that you see that is inherently a part of a person's characteristic, or is that something that's developed?
I think a millionaire mindset is developed, and I think it keeps being developed, right? Like, even now, what has made me so proud of this conference too is that the speakers are changing their flights and sticking around. A lot of speakers dip in and out. They're like, oh, no, I'm staying here, I'm gonna hang out, right? Yeah. That makes me so proud. And the reason why I mention that is because even when we have New York Times bestselling books and we have 8-figure businesses, there's still so much to learn, right? There's still so much to accomplish and to do, and you never stop learning. So I think you're always working on that millionaire mindset. But I also know that having to go to the grocery store with food stamps and having the, you know, Con Ed come to my door and turn off the lights, and all of the stuff that came with that got me very focused on money at a very early age. So I was always curious, like, how are people making money? And I tell the story in my book about how I used to babysit for this little girl named Alana. It was a Jewish family. They were so sweet. And it was in Douglaston. And I grew up in Flushing, Queens, right? Douglaston is a much nicer neighborhood. And I would take the bus over there, and it was like tree-lined streets, and it was, you know, big houses. There was 3 of them. It was, you know, Mom, Dad, and Alana in this giant house that had so many rooms. I was like, what are they doing with all these rooms? What is this room? It was a formal dining room. I was like, what is that? I've never seen a formal dining room before. You know what I mean? And I would open their pantry to like make her a snack, and it was like so many options. I was like, wow, one day I'm gonna be able to get those frozen waffles that my mom always says no. It's always those little things, right? Like, what was it? Like, you wanted Cocoa Puffs and you couldn't get the Cocoa Puffs. Your mom said no because y'all didn't have the money. It's like, But I would see that, and her father worked from home, and the mom would be at work, and I'd be like, what do these people do for a living? And I would ask, you know? I was always trying to be a detective, like, people who have money, how did they get it? Because I just had no idea. I couldn't fathom, like, how do they have so much? And so learning that, like, that's what I think got me to focus on money, is the fact that we didn't have any, right? If we would have been very comfortable, I don't think it would have been a priority to me.
You think that inquisitive nature helped shape your career path? Because a lot of times in our communities, we see a few avenues of where we can make money, right? Usually in arts or performing or entertainment. But the fact that you were inquisitive and trying to find out how other people were making money, did that help in the way you were choosing where you were going to go with your career?
Yes. And honestly, I didn't really know that as a kid. Like, I didn't know. I saw performers, Black performers. I saw Black athletes, but really nobody from my neighborhood was becoming an R&B singer or a basketball player, right? Like, they might have had hopes and dreams, but I wasn't actually seeing it happen in my neighborhood. So to me, I was just like, I just want to know how. Like, what job y'all got? And I learned, like, what I had found is, like, a lot of people were highly educated. So I was like, okay, then I need to go to school. Great, works for me because I'm good at school, right? Like, I like to study, I like to learn, I love to read. And so all of those things will benefit me. Just, where do I go to school? What pathway do I need to take? Like, just break it down for me, show me, right? Like, I was so hungry to know, and I was gonna be relentless until I figured it out.
So let me ask you this. What moment did you realize you had something special?
Good question. I think, you know, what was interesting is I started with a law practice. So I went to law school. I graduated during the 2008 recession, and there were not a lot of jobs available.
What kind of law was you practicing?
I was actually studying, like, family law. I actually went to a school that had a specialty in IP law, and I was like, nah, I'm not interested in that. I was like, no, I'm gonna do family law because I wanted to help people.
Like family law, what does that mean? Like,
you know,
custody battles and stuff?
Well, yes, but also, like, I imagined doing something like working for a nonprofit. And I remember I sat down with my sister, and she had, like, a neighbor. We had lunch with her, and they both sat me down, and they were like, listen, you need to get this money, okay? You see these loans?
They adding up.
Yeah. We're not doing the nonprofit thing. Maybe you could do that in the future, but, like, right now you need to pay these loans back, sis, right? So they had to have a talk with me about that. But what was interesting, so I wound up starting my own law practice because law firms are often very toxic spaces. And I had interned at a few places, and I was like, this ain't gonna last. Like, I'm just not the type of person that is obedient enough to work in a corporate environment long term.
That's very well put. I know some people like that.
So I was like, this ain't ever gonna work. So, like, and here was my thinking, and I literally said this to my husband. I was like, I'm already broke. So if I'm already broke, it's better to not take the law firm job where I'd make a lot of money. It's better to stay broke now, start the entrepreneurial journey while I'm still broke. And I'm like, I'm comfortable being broke, right? I've been broke. So, like, let me just start now. If I'm gonna be broke doing my own thing, instead of going somewhere, getting comfortable, upgrading my lifestyle, and then trying to find a way out of it. So that was kind of my strategy. So I started my law practice, and it was so interesting. Literally within 6 months, I was getting a lot of press. Like, it was just like I was an anomaly, you know, like being a young lawyer right out of law school. People don't just go solo out of law school. You're supposed to pay your dues, work at a law firm, be trained by a partner over a long period of time. Then you can go solo. Then you have permission. And I just did it. And I did it with my afro and not wearing the suits. And it was interesting. It, like, attracted so many people to me because it was just different. People were looking for a lawyer that looked like them, that they felt comfortable talking to, that explained it to them in plain English, that didn't act like they were better than them. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm onto something here. And I think that's when I first figured out that, like, just being myself was enough. And actually, the more I was myself, the more it actually attracted people to me.